The Honourable John Maler Collier OBERPY was a leading English artist and an author. He painted in the Pre-Raphaelite style, and was one of the most prominent portrait painters of his generation. Both his marriages were to daughters of Thomas Henry Huxley. He studied painting at the Munich Academy, where he enrolled on 14 April 1875 at the age of 25. Family. Collier was from a talented and successful family. His grandfather, John Collier, was a Quaker merchant who became a Member of Parliament. His father was created the first Lord Monkswell. He was also a member of the Royal Society of British Artists. John Collier's elder brother, the second Lord Monkswell, was Under-Secretary of State for War and Chairman of the London County Council. In due course, Collier became an integral part of the family of Thomas Henry Huxley PC, President of the Royal Society from 1883 to 1885. Collier married two of Huxley's daughters and was on terms of intimate friendship with his son, the writer Leonard Huxley. Collier's first wife, in 1879, was Marion Huxley. She was a painter who studied, like her husband, at the Slade and exhibited at the Royal Academy and elsewhere. After the birth of their only child, a daughter, she suffered severe postnatal depression and was taken to Paris for treatment where, however, she contracted pneumonia and died in 1887. Collier's daughter by his first marriage, Joyce, was a portrait miniaturist, and a member of the Royal Society of Miniature Painters. In 1889, Collier married Maidie's younger sister Ethel Huxley. Until the deceased wife's sister's Marriage Act 1907, such a marriage was not possible in England, so the ceremony took place in Norway. By his second wife he had a daughter and a son, Sir Lawrence Collier, who was the British ambassador to Norway 1941–51. Subjects. Collier's range of portrait subjects was broad. In 1893, for example, his subjects included the Bishop of Shrewsbury, Sir John Lubbock FRSAN Hornby, Sir Edward Augustus Inglefield. His commissioned portrait of the Duke of York as Master of Trinity House in 1901, and the Prince of Wales were his major royal portraits. The latter work was hung in Durbar Hall, Jodhpur, Rajputana. Other subjects included two Lord Chancellors in 1897, the Speaker of the House of Commons, William Gully, senior legal figures the Lord Chief Justice Lord Ulverston and the Master of the Rolls Sir George Jessel, Rudyard Kipling, the painter Sir Lawrence Alma Tadema, the actors J. L. Toole and Madge Kendall, Ellen Terry and Herbert Beerbohm Tree, heads of educational institutions such as the Master of Balliol Edward Caird, the Warden of Wadham G.E. Thorley and the Provost of Eton. Soldiers such as Field Marshal Lord Kitchener of Khartoum and Field Marshal Sir Frederick Haynes, two Indian Maharajas, including the Maharaja of Nepal, and scientists including Charles Darwin, the artist's father-in-law Professor Huxley, William Kingdom Clifford, James Prescott Joule and Sir Michael Foster. Clarke reports a total of 32 Huxley family portraits during the half-century after his first marriage. A photocopy of John Collier's Sidders book can be consulted in the Heinz Archive and Library, National Portrait Gallery. This is the artist's own handwritten record of all his portraits, including name of subject, date, fee charged, and details of any major exhibitions of the picture in question. Posthumous Reputation. Collier died in 1934. His entry in the Dictionary of National Biography compares his work to that of Frank Hull because of its solemnity. This is only true, however, of his many portraits of distinguished old men, his portraits of younger men, women and children, and his so-called problem pictures, covering scenes of ordinary life, are often very bright and fresh. His entry in the Dictionary of Art by Geoffrey Ashton refers to the invisibility of his brushstrokes as a rather unexciting and flat use of paint, but contrasts that with Collier's strong and surprising sense of color, which created a disconcerting verisimilitude in both mood and appearance. The Dictionary of Portrait Painters in Britain up to 1920 describes his portraits as painterly works with a fresh use of light and color. Public collections. 16 of John Collier's paintings are now in the collections of the National Portrait Gallery in London, and 2 are in the Tate Gallery. 4 of the National Portrait Gallery paintings were in December 1997 on display. John Burns, Sir William Huggins, Thomas Huxley and Charles Darwin. A 1907 self-portrait has been preserved in the Uffizi in Florence, which presumably commissioned it as part of its celebrated collection of artists' self-portraits. Other pictures may be seen in houses and institutions open to the public. A large and striking painting of the murderous Clytemnestra is in the Guildhall Gallery of the City of London. The death sentence was given by the widow of the artist to Wolverhampton Art Gallery. His portrait of the Earl of Onslow is at Clarendon Park, Surrey. His full-length portrait of Sir Charles Tertius Mander, 1st Baronet, is at Alpen Manor, Gloucestershire, with another version in the collection of the National Trust at Whitewig Manor. Reproductions of many others, from various collections, may be consulted in the John Collier box in the National Portrait Gallery, Hines Archive and Library, and a very good selection is published in The Art of the Honourable John Collier by W.H. Pollock. His work was also included in the Great Victorian Pictures exhibition mounted by the Arts Council in 1978. Views on ethics and religion. Collier's views on religion and ethics are interesting for the comparison with the views of Thomas and Julian Huxley, both of whom gave Romanes lectures on that subject. In The Religion of an Artist, Collier explains, it is mostly concerned with ethics apart from religion. I am looking forward to a time when ethics will have taken the place of religion. My religion is really negative, can be attained by other means which are less conducive to strife and which put less strain upon the reasoning faculties. On secular morality, my standard is frankly utilitarian. As far as morality is intuitive, I think it may be reduced to an inherent impulse of kindliness towards our fellow citizens. His views on ethics, then, were very close to the agnosticism of T.H. Huxley and the humanism of Julian Huxley. On the idea of God, people may claim without much exaggeration that the belief in God is universal. They omit to add that superstition, often of the most degraded kind, is just as universal, and an omnipotent deity who sentences even the vilest of his creatures to eternal torture is infinitely more cruel than the cruelest man. And on the Church, to me, as to most Englishmen, the triumph of Roman Catholicism would mean an unspeakable disaster to the cause of civilization. And on nonconformists, they have a superstitious belief in the actual words of the Bible which is very dangerous. Publications. A Primer of Art. A Manual of Oil Painting, 1886. The Art of Portrait Painting, 1905.